I just wanted to throw a little additional piece in this video. I realize that the last couple of topics have been more about lifestyle, about living in a van, which I think were very useful, or at least I hope they were very useful. But I think maybe it's time to start doing a little day tripping. So the next video, it'll just be about my hometown here, about Richmond, BC. And some of the following ones for the rest of the month, maybe into July, will be little road trips around the lower mainland area, which means the areas surrounding Vancouver in BC. And I'll probably do the typical drive that I do through Vancouver whenever we have visitors from out of town, people that haven't been here before. I'll take you on the route that I usually take them on. I also wanted to say, for any of you who saw my last video who might be interested in the older women camping weekend coming up at the end of August, we do have very limited space, so if you're interested, check the link below to ireneharlow.com and you can find it on the events page. Okay, have a great day, everyone. I think I say that twice now in this video. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Chasing the Moon RV. My name is Zia, and I make videos about full-time van life. I have been living full-time for a month and a couple of days, and I had a knock. Anybody that watches YouTube videos about people who try to stealth camp, or yeah, you know what the knock is. So luckily for me, it didn't happen in the middle of the night when I was sound asleep. It happened in the middle of the day. And sadly, it's a sign of what's happening for people that are living van life. Because there are so many people that take advantage of parking situations, communities are becoming less tolerant. Since I've been back in my local area, there are several places that I like to frequent because they are by the water. And obviously, a lot of local people who are not living van life like to frequent those areas too. And along one stretch of the Dyke Road that runs all the way around Richmond, there are probably maybe half a dozen different sized campers. One of them has got to be, it's a Class A, it's got to be maybe 36 feet long, has been parked in a prime spot down on the river for weeks on end. And other smaller Class Cs and Class Bs, like I have, take up spots, parking areas along the river where instead of parking this way, they park this way. And what that means is they're taking up probably at least 4 parking spaces, and they will park there all day. They'll stay overnight, they'll stay there all the next day. It's so selfish. And so what happened for me yesterday, I do go down and frequent areas by the river, but I make the rounds. What happened yesterday was I was driving down along a stretch of the river and decided to, before I finished running my errands, I decided to feed Charlie and make myself some lunch, maybe read my book for a while. I saw a shady spot. There were a few cars. There was another van and a commercial van, which I've seen there for a long time now. It seems to be there every time I drive by. And so I was sitting, just finishing up my lunch, when I saw a City of Richmond vehicle stop across from the parking area where we all were. And I noticed that one of the guys in the car had taken out a camera, and I didn't know if he was taking a picture of my van or whether he was videotaping the whole parking area and who was there. They got out of their car and they went over to the commercial vehicle that I'd been seeing, and they were knocking on the doors. There wasn't anybody there. I don't know if maybe it was stolen or abandoned or what, but then they were making phone calls, and one of the guys came down towards my van, walked past it, couldn't see me because I have mosquito netting on the side door, and walked back to his partner again. And then I stood up to clean up my lunch things and get ready to carry on. And they noticed me inside the van, so they came back and tapped on the door. Well, of course, Charlie started barking, so it's hard for me to have a conversation with them. But I opened the window and I said, "Can I help you?" And they said, "Oh, we're city bylaw officers and we've had complaints about vans parked along the river." And I said, "Well, I just pulled in here for lunch." And what I should have said was, "Were you taking pictures of my van, and why? And is it not okay to park here? There's no signs that say no parking here." They weren't talking to the people in the cars about what they were doing there. But see, this is what's happening. They're getting complaints about people in vans living constantly in the favorite spots along the river. Anyway, I explained that I was just having lunch and was going to carry on with my errands, and they said they were very nice. They said, "That's great, that's fine." But in the back of my mind now, I'm thinking, am I on the record? Do they have a picture of my vehicle? Or are they going to be looking out for me? And so last night, although I tend to stay down the south end of Richmond, I decided that maybe it wasn't a good idea to stay in the area. And it really does make me very sad, because I try so hard not to be noticed, not to be intrusive. And it only takes a few selfish people to spoil that, because cities are passing bylaws now that say no sleeping overnight in any vehicle on any city street. Not even just particular areas anymore that say no overnight parking. There's a few of those around here that didn't used to be there. And that's what's going to end up happening. And I honestly don't know what that's going to mean for people that are living full-time in their vans. I have lived in this community for over 45 years now. And it's a crisis. It is a crisis. So for those of you thinking full-time van life, take those things into consideration too. We all need to be considerate of the parking regulations and the bylaws in the city that you're in. And we have to pay heed to them and not leave garbage around, and because it's just going to spoil it for everyone. There's no need for us not to be able to live this lifestyle if we just take the city as a whole that you're in into consideration. So that's my little rant for today. Don't be a selfish RV lifer. But I mean, it's lovely being able to have a different view every day. It's a lovely place to be, and I'd like to be able to continue living here and living in my van. Another situation that happened to me besides the daytime knock, it was one that actually almost brought me to tears. I had parked in a shady area to feed Charlie his dinner and to have my own dinner. It's a city park, and I often go there in the daytime to relax, take Charlie for a few walks, that sort of thing. And so I had finished dinner. I was going to take Charlie out. And I had a bag of garbage. And it was mainly pee pads. I do have to put them down for Charlie. Even though he will go outside, it's not always predictable since his accident. If he needs to go, he needs to go. So better safe than sorry. Anyway, I put the leash on him, picked up the bag of garbage. There were some dinner scrapings in it. Started out on our walk, and I noticed there was a woman. I knew she was watching me, and turned to continue walking with Charlie and was walking towards her and smiled at her. And she looked at me with the nastiest expression on her face, and she said, "That's not for household garbage." And I said, "Pardon?" And she said, "That's not for household garbage." And I said, "What would you like me to do with this?" I knew she'd seen me get out of the van. "Do you want me to leave this in the street?" And she just kind of kept walking by me, very condescending, almost dismissing me, and saying, when I said, do you want me to leave it in the street? She said, "It can't, no, but it can't go in there. It was already in there, and I wasn't going to take it out again." And I was so caught off guard. She was humiliating me, and I got very teary. She just kept walking, and I went back to the van, and I decided to move on. So what I should have said to her was, this bin is here for the public. It's for people who walk their dogs. They put their poop bags in there. If someone's in the park and has a baby with them and changes their diaper, you can bet the diaper's going in there. And, if you have a big picnic or a big McDonald's feast in the park, your garbage is going to go in that bin. And this wasn't any different. And she really had I should have just said to her, "This is none of your business." But I was so caught off guard because she was treating me like I was something lesser than she was. And it led me to an interesting thought that I think it was my daughter shared with me, how she had read something about people that are living van life in expensive, built-out vans, people that obviously have money or resources. Those people are living van life. And that people who are forced into living in a van are homeless. And she was looking at me like I was this homeless, destitute person. And that really is, there really is a divide like that. And that is how a lot of people perceive others who live in vans. And the interesting thing is that one of the things that I like about my old van is that she looks a bit rough on the outside. In fact, after my long trip last year, some of the paint on one of the back corners is starting to, actually I think it's this back corner, is starting to peel. But I thought to myself, if she had seen me get out of a lovely, expensive Mercedes or something van, would she have treated me that way? It was so uncalled for. It's never okay to be unkind to someone. She was assuming something. She didn't know my circumstances. And because it caught me off guard, it nearly brought me to tears. And it made me very sad that there are people in the world that think they have the right to criticize or form an opinion of someone that they don't even know. You don't know what somebody's going through. She doesn't know how close she might be to ending up in a situation where she has to live in a van. Her whole world could turn upside down, and would she want to be treated like that? So the two experiences, the knock on the door and the comment by the woman, have made me realize that if I'm going to stay in my community, I maybe need to be a little more cautious. So if you're contemplating van life, part-time or full-time, know that it is becoming more difficult. When a lot of the people who started the very first van life YouTube channels, like Cheap RV Living with Bob Wells, like quite a few years ago, nobody knew about van life. And I guess maybe since the movie Nomad came out, more people know about van life. For the most part, people walk by and they don't even look at my vehicle. But there are more people that know, and there are more cities that know, and there are more people doing van life. So there are more vans and campers that are becoming a little too complacent about where they are and how long they stay and the kind of garbage and things that they leave behind. So another thing to consider if you're going to be doing van life, traveling and being a tourist in different areas is a whole different thing, I'm finding. Am I sorry I did this? No. Take into consideration that van life is becoming a little more difficult. And more cities are beginning to pass bylaws that don't allow you to stay anywhere. So pay attention to the parking signs, move around a lot, arrive when it's dark, leave the area you slept in before most people are up, and you should be fine. You should be absolutely fine, and there should be no reason, with the housing crisis that's going on in all over North America, and I'm sure in other countries too, there should be no reason, if we all are considerate of the communities we're in, why we can't live this lifestyle. Please subscribe, give me a thumbs up, and hit the notification bell, and share with your friends if you think they'd be interested in the content of my videos. Thank you. Wherever you are, I hope that you are having a wonderful day, and I will say bye-bye for now. And I'll leave you with Charlie. Goodbye. Yeah, you're a good boy. Yes, you are.